Hey, what is going on guys? I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be using my wishing condition methodology to help you determine if pulling on this weapon banner is worth your primo gems or not. I'm going to be making this a reoccurring video series for every weapon banner since you guys seem to like it. This weapon banner in particular is a bit more interesting and not as clear cut as to whether it's worth pulling or not. Also a friendly reminder that there is a 25% chance that you don't get either of the weapons and you get a standard banner weapon. Now let's get into it. So the first condition is that you can use both 5-star weapons effectively. Looking at this catalyst, it appears to be a support type weapon with some fairly good effects. This is obviously Nahida's signature weapon. It can give a damage bonus of up to 30% if the equipped character does not share the same element. So for example, if you put this on Nahida, who is Dendro, and run her with a Hydro, Anemo, and Electro character, she will get a 30% damage bonus. The second effect is basically saying the same thing, but instead of different elements, it's the same element. And instead of damage bonus, it's elemental mastery. So if you put this on someone like Nahida and use 3 other Dendro characters, you'll only get the EM. It also gives 40 EM to your entire team, which is nice, but nothing game-changing. I've seen a lot of people try and speculate as to whether this is going to be the best in slot weapon for Nahida or not, but I don't think that matters. I don't believe in judging a character's performance based off of leaks. I believe in more what you can achieve in practice rather than what is said on paper. This is because there are many variables that contribute to how strong a character or weapon is. Either way, this weapon will most certainly be good on Nahida. The real question is how good is it in comparison to other catalysts that you have access to. If, for example, it's best in slot, but only 5% better than Mappa Mayor, it's probably not worth pulling for. But we'll get into that later. After looking at this weapon, it's safe to say that if you have a Catalyst EM scaling character, especially a support character, then this Catalyst is something that you can use effectively. Now let's take a look at Thundering Pulse, which is Yoimiya's signature weapon. This is a solid weapon. Now, it's not the best bow by any means, unless you're using Yoimiya, of course, but it is still really good on DPS bow characters. I'd say it's on par with Skyward Harp in terms of value and usually the 3rd or 4th best option on a DPS bow character. By looking at these two weapons, we can safely say that if you have a Catalyst user that can benefit from having a lot of EM and you have a DPS bow character, you can use both these 5-star weapons effectively. The second condition states to consider future banners. We got drip marketing for the Wanderer, aka Anemo Scaramouche, and Faruzan. You may have to wait a little bit to get some dreams about what their character kits look like. Unless of course you're like me and don't care and just want Anemo Scaramouche to come home regardless of his kit. We also can take a pretty good guess as to what the next weapon banners are going to be. Child and Yae Miko are the next character banners. If you want either of these characters, then it's a good idea to skip this weapon banner. It's also very likely that Polar Star and Kagura's Verity are going to be on the next weapon banner since they are their respective signature weapons. I'm not saying to skip this weapon banner based on logical speculation. I am saying that it's something to keep in mind. Both Polar Star and Kagura's Verity are pretty good weapons. What's also funny is that these weapons are for Catalyst and bow users as well. Kagura's Verity will probably be a good pickup for Nahida as well. Polar Star, while not as good as Thundering Pulse on Yoimiya, is still a very good option to use on her. Because of this, it may be a good idea to wait and see what the 4-star weapons are for the next weapon banner to help you make your decision. The weapon banner is still here for the next 3 weeks. You don't have to wish on it right away. Moving on, the third condition then states that both weapons can be used on multiple characters. I'm going to get Thundering Pulse out of the way and say that it can be used on multiple bow DPS characters. You can put it on Child, Yoimiya, Fischl, pretty much anyone that does DPS and wields a bow can make use of the Thundering Pulse. It's not a niche weapon whatsoever. Now let's get into the juicy and more controversial one. The Floating Dreams is a weird one. So obviously you can use this on Nahida, but as for who else can use it, it's a bit difficult to say. Characters like Yae Miko or Heizo can make use of this, but they probably would want a crit stat on their weapon like with Sith. Then you have a character like Sucrose who can't actually make use of the passive. No one runs Sucrose with another Anemo character unless it's Zhao, so you only get a Nemo damage bonus instead of the EM which she prefers. And of course, Thrilling Tales exist for support Catalyst characters. Even Nahida could probably make use of Throwing Tails or Mappa Mare, which are essentially free weapons. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that yes, Floating Dreams can be used on multiple characters, but it's not necessarily the greatest option for those other characters. I wouldn't go so far to say that it isn't a viable weapon or that it's a bad weapon. It's kind of like your mom, it's just mid. Alright, now we can take a look at the fourth condition. Over half of the 4-star weapons have to be good. I'll assign 1 point if the 4-star weapon is good, and 0 points if it's bad. If it's mid like my personality, then I'll give it a half a point. The banner has to get 3 points to pass this condition. So starting out with the flute, this weapon is Garbo and not really good for anyone. Even the free-to-play options are better. Easily a 0. Favonius, on the other hand, is a fantastic weapon that you want to put on pretty much anyone. Most of the support polearm users want to have this weapon equipped, so it's a very good weapon. +1 for Favlance. Rust is an interesting one. The great thing about this weapon is that if you pull in this weapon banner and have Yoimiya, try to get Thundering Pulse, but got something else, you can still walk away with perhaps a high refined Rust, which is solid on Yoimiya. However, for most other bow users, this weapon isn't all that great. You can still use it on characters like Child or DPS Fischl, but there tends to be better options overall. However, because Yoimiya is on the rerun, it makes Rust more valuable. Like Lumine, it's mid, so half a point for Rust. With Sith, a great weapon, can be used on multiple characters, has a crit stat, a good passive, very solid 4-star, +1 for Sithy. Sacrificial Greatsword, again another weird one. Sac Greatsword is okay because it has energy recharge. The passive feels a bit wonky for a lot of the Claymore characters that want ER, but it's not bad. For the most part, it is outclassed by Favonius Greatsword. That's why it's going to get half a point. If we add these up, the total score is 3 out of 5, so this banner passes this condition. And of course, lastly, the fifth is to not spend any money. Especially now that we know no new combative endgame content is coming, getting a 5-star weapon is really not worth your money. Overall, from these test results, we can conclude that you should only roll on this weapon banner if you have a DPS bow user and EM scaling catalyst, especially if you have both Yomi and Nahida. Plan to skip Scaramouche, Faruzan, Child, and Yeimiko, and you don't want Polar Star or Kagura's Verity. Honestly, my takeaway from these test results is that it would be best to wait and see for more information. You don't have to wish on the weapon banner right away. I know a lot of people want to wish right away when the banner drops, but for this banner specifically, I think it's better to wait and see more information released so that you can make a more informed and rational decision. You're going to want to have dreams about the Wanderer and Faruzan to get more details on their kits. Wait and see what the next weapon banner is going to be, because what is likely to be the next 5-star weapons can be used on Yoimiya and Nahida, and might have better or worse 4-star weapons. Wait and see if Thousand Dreams is significantly better than Mappa Mare or Thrilling Tales. Heck, it could be even worse, who knows, until the theory crafters get their hands on it. I, myself, am skipping this weapon banner to pull for Nahida and Scaramouche. I will most likely be making a quick post-analysis guide on Nahida. Yep, that's the main reason. I'm pulling for Nahida to make a video on her. It's definitely not because she is super cute and needs to be protected at all costs. Anyways, that will be a wrap for this video. Remember, if you ever feel the urge to pull on this weapon banner, stop, come back and rewatch this video and think rationally before giving in to the FOMO. Wait for more info to come out and make an informed decision. Don't lose to your monkey gamba brain. If you enjoyed this video, consider subbing and liking to see more content like this. Take care and have a glorious day.